Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Nut again. Today it is an Altenew day. So we're going to play with this massive big stamp by Altenew. It's called Everlasting Happiness. So we've got some crafty sort of ish cardstock, and we're going to use some gold embossing, and we're going to use some Prismacolor pencils. I did promise you that this week was going to be a colouring one. This, as you can see, is huge. Just trying to figure out here where I was going to place things. The flowers on this stamp set are really pretty. There is also a small little flower sort of set that we're going to play with next week. So stay tuned for that one. And we're going to use Everlasting Happiness. So this stamp set has quite a few. Celebrate Life. I've used the Cherish yesterday, I think. I've used one. I can't remember which one in a past video. Hope is never lost. Love grows here. Believe and dream. So I am just using some VersaFine ink, and I'm just trying to ink up the flowers. Now there's going to be some of the circle that's going to be inked. Can't help that, but I'm going to show you how we're going to sort of try and get around it a little bit. Okay. Now I've got my magnet in the wrong spot, so I'm going to stamp this a couple of times, and at some point I'm going to figure out that the magnet's in the wrong place and it's preventing everything. So we're going to move it. There we go. Stamp it over. I'm not even re-inking it. Stamp it over again. And that's it. Wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. Some gold embossing powder. This is just some from my stash. Leslie from Little Bits Inkies, Melbourne is, that's how some people pronounce it, Melbourne, has this just in bulk. Okay, so I don't have a name for you at all. We've just got a little tiny bit of the circle on one side, and we've obviously got a fair bit on the other side. So we're going to heat emboss this. But first, we're going to draw a little leaf. Now, is it perfect? No. It's just going to be awesome still though. The flowers on this clearly aid in that sort of, you know, the long stem, that will do, and then a little leaf on the end of it. If I'm going to be particular, I'd probably do a bigger leaf next time, but it's going to work out just perfect. So we've heat embossed that. Now we're going to come in with our sentiment and do the same thing. I was going to sort of colour this afterwards, after doing the colouring and everything else, but I went, let's just live on the edge, people. And we're going to heat emboss this now. So the only thing you do need to be very careful is keep the heat tool, make sure it's warmed up, obviously, and keep the heat tool moving. You don't want to reheat. It's going to reheat a little bit, but you don't want to reheat the gold embossing that you've already used, because it's going to get dull. Okay, it's not going to work. So make sure it keeps moving, and just make sure it's nice and hot in the first place. Okay. I think I forgot a little tiny bit there. We're just going to hit him, clean it up a little bit, and just add some strays of the embossing powder. There we go. Okay, so we're going to put a layer of white down. Because we're using a crafty sort of colour cardstock, we're going to put a bit of a white base down. This craft cardstock, or if you do it on any card base that is not other than white, obviously it's going to change the colours a little bit. So I've put a layer of white. Now I don't want to put any pressure on it. And you want to make sure your pencil is nice and sharp, especially with this one, because you're trying to get in between the little, right down into the center of the flower. We've got some, honestly, it's a purple. We've got the Prismacolor 996, which is that darkest color. We're going back in with the 925. Here we've got the 122. And sounds like a dance move, doesn't it? 1, 2, sorry. And this one is 928. And all our little flowers, all the big flowers, are going to be the same combination. I'm only going to show you two petals. And then I'm going to color the rest off screen, because I'm just trying to be conscious of your time, because, you've got other things to do. So there is one petal, and then what I do is I use the white to just help blend it through. Still going back through the colors again, but still very, very light hand. The only time I will really put a bit more pressure on it is those the top of my flowers there, the little lines for added dimension. That's the only time I'd probably put a little bit more pressure. You want to make sure that you keep sharpening your pencil, and obviously you need to, I twist it around a little bit. I think you just saw it just then. I twist my pencil around a little bit, so once I get dull, I move it around to the other side of the pencil, and therefore I have like a sharp tip. There is something very, very different about coloring with pencils. If you end up with a sore hand, you're obviously gripping it. What I would suggest, obviously gripping it. Yeah, you're gripping it, but because it's not falling, you are gripping it too hard. So if you end up with a sore hand, you're gripping it too hard. So sometimes what I try to do, I do hold it obviously very, very low. But if you move your hand back up the pencil, you can't put the pressure on it. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to put the pressure on it. Greens, and yes, I've sharpened the other end because sometimes I teach, and this way I can know which one's mine. There's method to the madness, people. So our greens here, we've got 907, 909 and 910. The darkest color, I'm just sort of giving myself a little stem, pressing a little bit harder, because remember I said, for those lines, but when I come back in to do all this sort of thing, I'm back to a soft hand. And at the end of it, I will usually do it again, like press a little bit hard, make sure the veins pop out a little bit more. I am not fussing too much with the white on the middle as a base to these little leaves, because they're little. So I'm trying to reel in my madness, okay? Because if you've seen my videos before, I tend to do things that I sort of go, why on earth did you do that? You didn't really need to do that, but I had to because I needed to, in the sense of in my head. What can I say? I'm a little bit crazy town when I get lost. Does anyone ever just sit down and colour things, whether it's Copics or watercolour or pencils or anything else, and just sort of wake up and you go, why did you do that? You could have just like done one colour because it's so tiny, rather than trying to do two colours or more, or you've done something that you really didn't need to do, but you've just gotten carried away involved. No, that's not the right word. Just deep in thought, deep into the whole process of relaxing and colouring and going with the flow. This is probably another thing that I probably really didn't need to do, putting a little bit of white pencil in my tiny little flowers. You can see it a bit more when you look at the card in person. It's not really showing up too much in here at all, but you just saw me then twist my pencil around a little bit more because they are so tiny, so I'm just trying to get little sharp points to my pencil. That makes sense. I am going through with 921. Now I do need to get myself another 921 and another 122 because you can see there the pencil is just like flaked. So if your lead is broken, what you can do is heat it up in the microwave. But if you do it too long, that's what happens, people. The paint peels a little bit and it doesn't look very nice. So I think I tried to do my 122 pencil yesterday, and 10 seconds seemed to be enough. It didn't bubble too much, but I'm trying to save the pencil, so you might as well try and save the pencil rather than throwing it in the bin because you spent money on that baby. Here I've just got a little bit of black cardstock. It's pretty sort of straightforward. There is no mounting at all. No foam mounting at all. I know, I'm losing my mind. That is pretty much my card. There is no sparkles, there is no bling, there is no nothing, just letting it speak for itself. So if you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button and the bell, let you get notified. All the information will be in blog post down below. Take care. See you next time. Bye.